Hi, my name is Andy Welkley and welcome to another edition of Whiteboard Wednesday. On today's edition, we're going to talk about equipment leasing and some of the considerations that you need to keep in mind as you're managing those leases across your portfolio. The first thing that we want to talk about is the difference between equipment leases and property leases. Clearly, the equipment leases that you maintain in a high volume. They are generally simpler in the terms and conditions that they provide than a property lease, but you have so many more to manage. Now that can make for some changes to the way you consider and process all of these leases. For example, you're making monthly payments on a regular basis across a high volume of leases. Are there ways that you can standardize that process and perhaps even change the approval process so that you can streamline the payment of those leases? You've already signed the lease and it's been approved, so why not change the approval process on those payments and track it in your system? The second thing we want to consider is how you're going to manage these leases. Despite the fact that the terms and conditions are generally more simple than a property lease, there are still a lot of considerations that you need to track. For example, you need to make sure all your commitments are being met, all the payments are being made on time, and you need to think about the end of lease considerations. Are you going to renew with a new piece of equipment, maintain the old, come off the lease, or purchase to buy option? All those sorts of decisions are made, again, across a large scale, a large volume of leases. So tracking those expiration dates is really critical to some of your strategic planning and the way you're going to invest in your business. The next thing you need to consider is maintenance. Many times, the lease terms and conditions specify the maintenance that you need to do on that piece of equipment. And so scheduling that maintenance out and tracking it is really critical. At the end of the lease, you may be required to show documentation of the maintenance that was done on that piece of equipment. So tracking it in the system and documenting it in a way that you can efficiently extract it is really critical to the process and really cuts down on the paperwork at the end of that lease term. Finally, we arrive at a place where we can prioritize. All of these leases play different roles within our organization. Some pieces of equipment are really mission critical, and we need to make sure that those are well maintained, always paid in full, and ready for operation. Because if those fail or those come out of service, it can really have a negative impact on our business. So making sure we understand the hierarchy of our equipment leases and we prioritize the ones that we need to keep in the best standing is really critical. We may have some cash management options across that leasing portfolio, but we want to make sure that the things that are really critical are maintained to their fullest extent. A lot of things to consider here, and what we really want to think about is the volume of leases and the terms that we're tracking dictating the way we treat these in our system. There are opportunities for efficiencies, and we want to make sure we're realizing them. That's today's Whiteboard Wednesday. My name is Andy Welkley.